I think we're going back to 1930s Germany. I think we're going back to the Middle Ages.
At the beginning of this year, Pinterest predicted that neo-medievalism would be one of the main trends of 2025. And now, half a year later, we have ongoing discussion online about this trend, so their prediction seems to be coming true. So it got me thinking, are we going back to the Dark Ages? What's behind this growing obsession with medieval aesthetics? Could it be a reflection of our current world in times of political unrest, economic anxiety, and digital burnout? Why is that in the times of all this instability, neo-medievalism is on the rise and we are suddenly reaching for chainmail? So before we get any further, you might be thinking like Daria, what is actually neo-medievalism? Neo-medievalism refers to a fascination with reimagining of the medieval period, often expressed through popular culture, film and fashion. The trend draws on medieval European imaginary, saying castle, princess, knights, chainmail. But it's not only about the aesthetics of it. Neo-medievalism also refers to bigger changes in society, such as political unrest or economical instability or decentralization of power or the rise of the non-state actors. I won't be getting too much ahead of myself because I'm talking about it in the second part of this video. It's always happening to me. I'm very excited about the topic, so I start speaking everything from the script. So why is it currently on a rise? Many articles that I read during the research for this video mentioned the sense of escapism in the romanticized past that neo-medievalism provides. Escapism from the modern world of ever-increasing influence of technology on our day-to-day life, information overload that we all experience.
I just spent 10 minutes on TikTok. One guy told me we're all gonna die in 10 years. Another video showed me how to make 10K a month. Then another girl told me that I need to lose weight and be skinny. All in the span of 10 minutes. We are not designed for this.
But it's a bit ironic though, because trying to dress up in medieval-inspired clothing or fantasizing about offline communal life or posting Castlecore memes can be all seen as part of paradox of trying to escape from the digital world through the means of that same digital world. It's like we're using the very tools we want to run away from to imagine a time when they didn't exist. So if you don't know, I'm talking about films and fashion and current cultural trends. So if you haven't done so, please don't forget to like and subscribe. The anti-modern digital aesthetic that is inspired by romanticized past as a reaction against the online homogenous culture is not new. The cottagecore and tradwife are another examples of aesthetic that is self-promoted, simple times and became social media core aesthetics. But unlike them, neo-medieval Castlecore seems to be revolting against other more polished version and aesthetics like clean girl that were popularized post-pandemic. As Birdie writes, while it didn't always have this connotation, reserved 1950s glamour, quiet luxury, and cottagecore style have all become go-tos for tradwives and conservative elites. What once felt neutral and minimalist has entered uneasy territory. Thus, many have decided the antidote is to get as chaotic as possible, whether that leads to actual change or simply allows for escapism or a daily dose of joy. Here's my beef with the situation. Both cottagecore and quiet luxury once upon a time felt like this dreamy, soft girl and even liberating movements before it got this heavy ideological baggage. Can it go the same way with medieval aesthetics?
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
I for sure hope it's not, but it's also worth mentioning that it wouldn't be the first time it's happening, as the medieval aesthetic were used before by the far-right nationalist movement as a symbol of purity and tradition. Yeah, but this whole thing is also not only about aesthetic appropriation or the social media trends gone wrong.
Literally in my tradwife era. Really? Yesterday I made muffins. I stopped expressing independent thought. He finally felt safe enough to love me.
Cultural and fashion trends have always responded to political shifts. One of my favorite examples is minimalism. It's a design and cultural movement that have appeared in the 20th century as a response to capitalism and overconsumption, as well as a relentless cycle of buying and discarding. Neo-medievalism appeared exactly at a time of collapsing of power structures and the sense that we live in the times of decayed empire. The collusion of American government officials with corrupt billionaire imperialists is something I could only compare to the greed and corruption of medieval lords. It's Odessa's Moshfegh Slapnova unfolding before our eyes. And it's not even new, it has already happened before. The medieval revival often happens in the times of social unrest and ideological tension. In the 60s and 70s, due to rising concerns of Cold War, conflicts over civil and social rights, and literally fear of apocalypse due to a nuclear arms race, there were many reasons for people to want to escape the fairy tale world and reject the chaos of modernity. The revival took the inspiration from a romanticized version of life of medieval peasantry, like one life as nature, or simplistic clothing, the form of what we would now call hippie or bohemian fashion. That was also combined with rise of spiritualism, such as personal witchcraft practices that would later give rise to the 90s whimsigoth look. The whimsigoth medieval revival happened during the 90s, cultural disillusionment.
Their sunny 60s optimism tends to cancel out my bitter 90s cynicism.
And early tech anxiety, as well as identity seeking, which manifested in the search of the subcultures. It took a darker turn, embracing gothic, witchy silhouettes that nodded to fantasy, folklore, and TV shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Famously documented in Jean-Paul Gaultier and Anna Sue collections, the whimsigoth style was the scene of the 90s. Bearing in mind that past medieval revivals were born out of turbulent social conditions, poverty, war, rising conservatism, it makes sense that now, in our own looming dark age, a renewed interest in the slow, simple life would return to the forefront of our societal consciousness. But I think in this medieval resurgence, we have kind of both. The political collapse similar to the 70s and the cultural shift and anxiety of the 90s. But we also have the economical shift. As the medievalism grows in popularity, so does the conversation about something called technofeudalism. Coined and popularized by economist Yanis Varoufakis, technofeudalism suggests that we are no longer living under capitalism as we knew it. Instead, tech companies have become our new feudal lords, controlling our digital lives, extracting value from our behavior, and replacing labor with data. In his book about technofeudalism, Varoufakis argues that social media platforms and online shopping platforms like Amazon are taking your data while you're using it, and that becomes a behavioral capital because they can use it for selling you more stuff. Therefore, he argues that right now the capital is not the means of production anymore, but it is a means of behavioral modification. An economy built around personal data instead of labor.
Why didn't I just stay home where it's nice and quiet and nothing ever happens?
And just a huge disclaimer that I am by no means economy or sociology expert, but someone who has interest in both of the fields. And in fashion, I tend to notice the patterns that come across different areas. Therefore, it's interesting to find that there is indeed a correlation between appearance of technofeudalism term in recent years together with resurgence of medieval aesthetics online. So to sum it all up, the desire to escape into medieval fantasy is not new at all. And honestly, it never really left, especially in fashion. From Alexandra McQueen's Joan Arc moment on Today TikTok Castlecore girls baking bread, medievalism was always part of subculture, so mainstream. And even though the rise of it gave it a vibe of modern day slowly burning political turmoil,
Gee, Brittany, I'm overcome with emotion.
I think there is still opportunity to take something positive from that. Even if we live in a world of doom scrolling and social media chaos, I think we can take things from neo-medievalism that are about slow living, about communal living, or anti-consumerism. So like peasants, we could make our own clothes or use the clothes that we have, or at least repair them instead of buying new, or have a capsule wardrobe, or bake bread instead of doom scrolling, or go touch the grass in not ironic sense of it, or write a letter while having the candles on. Anything that can connect you to your spiritual side, like praying to the moon, whatever grounds you. In an era of irony, alienation, and postmodern nihilism, going back to spirituality, ritual, and romantic escapism might not be such a bad idea.
I want to be a princess.